It's the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. Eagle Claw. American ingenuity and craftsmanship since 1925. And now, here's your host, community Kevin Brannon. Today's guest, Michael Tripp, County of Ventura Harbor Department, Channel Islands Harbor.
Good. Is it morning still? Yeah, good morning. We're a little bit behind today because we have a special guest here. He was going to be our first guest, but last week we had an intern that her parents were here to pick her up, Viviana, the one I was showing you the article, and we got her for about 11 minutes real quick to kind of talk about her time before she left to San Diego State. Got a couple leaving to college, and if I get them mixed up on where they're going, they get, they already have school pride, so it can't be done. But today's guest is Michael Tripp. He is the Channel Islands Harbor Director. Got all that right, correct?
That's correct.
And you've met him here before. You've seen him to give you insight at the old facility, but we wanted him to be our first guest. The other day, a part of my Oxnard Leadership Academy, we did planes, trains, and boats for travel, and he did a magnificent presentation at the Vintage Marina. And I thought before he left, I think before he even got started, I was already trying to book you for a podcast, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Tripp is here to talk about all kinds of projects in the harbor and our new facility due to the corals that's going to be opening up, and we have a groundbreaking ceremony on Saturday. So just wanted to, plus part of our brand is like our characters. Well, I would probably interview you every year, man, as long as you're here with the great job you're doing and accessible and letting people know about fantastic, exciting things that are going on here in the Channel Islands Harbor. So I think I did a good job of introducing you, and wherever you want to start, man, and lead in.
Sure. I mean, well, yeah. First off, thanks for having me here. Always good to be on your program, and it is amazing to see the way that your program has evolved just in the short few years that I've been talking to you. It's really impressive, and I like your new headquarters here. You got a bit more room, and it's great to hear about all the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as what's going on in the harbor, the big thing right now is we have the Carls project, and that's over at the Old Fisherman's Wharf, and the demolition is supposed to start this Saturday, which is the 15th, and it's a huge day for us. This is something that Bud Smith built, and it was great. It had its heyday, but unfortunately, for about the last 20 years, the county had been trying to develop it as a mixed-use project with residential, and the residents weren't happy about it, and the city of Oxnard wasn't happy about it. And so, it was a big fight that really wasn't getting us anywhere. And so when we came across the Carls group and we saw, they offered something unique, something that, can actually get off the freeway and come down the harbor, we were really excited to start working with them. And it's been a long process, it's been several years now. And one important thing that we did this time, unlike, what had been done before, is we actually went out to the community, told them what we were planning to do, got their input. We did 20 community meetings, and Axel from Carls was right there with me the whole time. And the project actually changed, it transformed based on the input that the community was getting. And so I think in the end, it's going to end up being a much better project. It's going to be something that's going to bring in tourists as well as, the locals here, because we need them both, to make sure this is going to be something good. And I think it's one of the first steps to really bring this harbor back to what it used to be, which is just a really lively place that people love to come to.
I'm gonna give you a little bit more credit, though. I think it was starting to lively up before it got there. Just to give you some credit, right? It's just historic for the Channel Islands Harbor, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And I always ask them, I want to be, when they did the Wainimi and they had everybody's on the shovel, right? When they started the port of Wainimi and Wainimi Beach and the pier and how that went out to the wharf and stuff like that. But you've been, again, hightailing it on different projects, from parking lot infrastructure, taking down the old, what is it at the end, the Costa Serena? Is that what it was, right?
Yeah, we take out the Costa Serena.
There's new docks that are in here, big beautiful boats that we all get to talk about who owns it. Everything from Jeff Bezos to Katy Perry, but what is it? Where were we at? The Suntext. Suntext, right?
Yeah.
They're expanding some of the docks. So there's been little, the revitalization of the harbor, man. You've been chipping away. This, I think, is probably the biggest project. Of course, it's the biggest project. But I think, is there more? Let the audience know that, you started to say there's a harbor, there's a city, there's a county, there's residential. So you're also at this, coastal commission and what gets into the ocean, right? So there's a lot of gears in this sucker that you had to get lined up, to make it happen as well.
Oh yeah, building anything next to the coast in California is a really complicated, long process. And as far as making the harbor a better place, we're trying to hit it on a lot of fronts. When people come down here, I really want them to have a pleasant experience, and so that's things like making sure our parking lots look nice. And so we've been doing a lot of parking lot projects. We've been going around the harbor. We did the one at Kitty Beach. We did Silver Strand. We did the one by the Rudder Room, and we've done half the ones at Harbor Boulevard. We're working on a second project to do the other half, because all these little things, these things that people don't think about, they make the whole experience better. They make it a nicer time than when you're driving through a parking lot and you hit a big pothole or something. So those are the little improvements that we're doing to try to make this a better place. Another big one that we're working on right now is our headquarters building.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up next.
Yeah, I mean, me and my staff, we've been in trailers for the last 8 years, and it's.
And Coast Guard too. I mean, Harbor Patrol, they got a little.
Yeah,
tin,
the Harbor
right?
Patrol
has
a tiny trailer. Yeah, I feel bad for them. And so that was a long process getting that approved, but it's going to be a nice new building. We're going to be joined with Harbor Patrol again, which will be nice because it's a small department, about 30 people, but still, when we're separated by a block, you don't see those people every day. And so now we're going to be in the same building again. And another nice thing about this building, it's going to have all the facilities that Harbor Patrol didn't have before. They'll have a mud room and showers and a proper locker room and things like that. And so it's going to be a lot more easy and comfortable to do that job. And another nice aspect of it is we're going to have a large community room there. You mentioned earlier about a presentation that I did for the Oxnard business leaders. This is going to be the perfect room for that kind of thing. Big community rooms where we can hold events, where the community can actually rent the room for us if they need to, if they want to have their, for instance, the Coast Guard auxiliary meetings or things like that. It's going to be a building that's going to be serving the community as well as the harbor department.
It's at a beautiful location where it's going to be over the harbor too, so you get a chance to the ambience of that in the background. To have meetings and set that up. And again, I was kind of giggling when you were saying, because I was thinking, okay, I seen the bulldozer go through that. We're taking our boat out. I remember they came in with that claw and they hit the building, and I got a picture and a video. And I just started thinking, man, then we're going to have that. They're going to do something similar. I think Saturday, from what I heard from Axel, is that they're going to take the first crack at the old the theater there, right? So, and then you knock down the other facility. So, how many? You're playing Tonkas out here, bro. You get to be the one that comes in with the bulldozers, which is that's a good thing, right? Like revitalizing, and you're engulfed in this, beautifying it from the little details of those parking lots to. I think there's a kid facility coming out, right? But you're doing it in these steps. The way that the docks are being built and beautifying it, right? I was down in Newport Beach fishing last summer, and I was just imagining what it would look like, the gym that we have that hasn't been utilized as much. And the reason I want to say as much, people, is because the ones that are nervous, it was happening before. This is a redevelopment. Yep. It's not like we're starting from the ground up and just going to see chaos. It was thriving at one point. You're like clear, clear, starting the harbor.
No, and that's an important distinction. Is that a lot of people are concerned about traffic, but what they're not taking into account is that when Fisherman's Village was thriving, it was creating people, trips, people coming into the harbor, and so all the streets, they're already built to
and the parking lots,
all the parking lots, all this stuff is built for a thriving harbor. But we're not just going in here without checking these things. We're doing traffic studies, and they're being reviewed by the city of Oxnard. And so we're making sure that what we're going to do is not going to have a negative impact on the community. And if there are things that need to be done, like new traffic lanes, new right turn lanes, things like that, they will be implemented as part of the project. But something you touched on with the docks. It's not just the buildings. It's the docks, everything. The whole harbor, it was built in the 60s and 70s. And so all that infrastructure is failing. And so we have lots of stuff we need to take care of. Like,
wasn't there some inheritance part of that people might not know, right? That it was owned somewhere and then they gave it to the...
Well, yeah.
So people know that there's history there on how the harbor was given to and built and the stuff that went into it, that people might not know, the historians like we do, and bringing that up.
Yeah, I mean, two big families out here were the Bards and the McGraths. The McGrath is a farming family. They're still out here.
That's where we get our pumpkins.
That's right. Yeah, the Bard, he was the one who actually built the Port of Hueneme. He built it as a pleasure port and a business port back in the 40s before it was taken by the Navy. And so he was a huge landowner, and he was the actually one who gave a decent portion of this harbor. The part where Fisherman's Wharf was part of that Bard land grant. But just to get on the docks a little bit, yeah, I mean, those docks supposed to last about 40 years, right? And a lot of them, they're like 60 years old, so they're just being, held together barely.
We heard them when we were in the other facility. Yeah. Marshall's out there helping putting the stuff together, but when there was that big current, remember, Marshall, we could hear them cracking.
Yeah.
It was like all that surge came into the harbor, and it would crack and break off, and then they would have to come and grab a barge and like tie it off to another cleat because we were just, it was at the same time. I mean, good thing you're here, and that's why I'm smiling, because I swear they got the right candidate. And I have one question for you personal. Mm-hmm. Is that we got to witness it, right? Like, you're at the time. Right. Otherwise, what would have been done, right? It would have just been those pillars up and nothing there. It would have just been like a graveyard where you're coming on to modify and change these things. But it was literally that last surge that we had a year or so ago coming through here.
Right.
You could remember it would bend and you heard it and crack and break. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. So it's obviously over the test of time. I have a question.
Sure.
From a leader, how do you, like, you're killing the game, right?
Oh,
and as far as you taking the credit or that responsibility, how do you do it? Give them a little, you know what I mean? Because you're doing a lot, man. And I don't know that you realize that, or how much you get complimented enough, or when you take them and you're like, oh, just all shucks, I just, I'm good at, what I mean? Like, how do you internalize that without, or how do you, I guess I don't want to give you a for instance, but like, how do you go, because with the job you're doing, where you come from, what it's turning into, the successes, like, sure, there's stress, but your team, you got Jed that's always helping you. I mean, it's just, it's you're banging. Like, is there any,
everybody I know is in the it's about time stage. They're all same thing. It's about time.
No, I appreciate that. And so, just to give you a little bit of my background, before this, I worked for 20 years in LA County, and we did the redevelopment of Marina Del Rey there. And that was similar in a lot of ways to what we're doing here. And so that was a good thing, because it taught me the basics of what you need to do to redevelop things. As far as the planning that you do when you're trying to think, what should we do with this parcel, with this use, but also what agencies you need to go through. And so I got the basic fundamentals of how to build things there. But what that job also gave me was I enjoy imagining things and then seeing them done. Seeing them through construction. And when I'm out here in the harbor, there's not a parcel here that I don't look at and think, what could we do to make this better? And so I have ideas for all of them. And the thing is, I need to have enough staff to get all that done. And
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I mean that's the way it is for everybody, right? And so we're hiring the right people, and I mean, as far as the leadership portion of it, hiring people is a huge part of it. But another part of it is to take the people that you have and find a way to give them the tools necessary that they can do the best possible job.
And then do you step back and just kind of let them, micro it, right? You gotta here's the vision, here's the tools, and that way, so you can move on to the next partial, right? Because to doing it, right? So it's hiring good people, your culture, what you're doing. There's just a lot into it, and just how you handle that or deal with it, or do you like the praise? Or do you try to shy away from it versus? I mean, you know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean, and I try not to make a big deal of it, because I'm trying not to make this all about me. I want this to be about the harbor improving.
That's awesome.
And so I think I'm just a part of that, and I couldn't do anything if it's just me sitting there. There's just too much work to do.
Yeah, because you got a pretty good project, bro. When you came into it, it was a fixer-upper.
You got the whale's tail on your list?
I do, actually. No, I've got good news about the whale's tail.
All right.
So
let's finish a little bit of the history.
Okay.
Where you're at right there, that's good.
Yeah.
And then because I know we have some projects you want to talk about, and then we'll get to that when we get
Sure.
to the project section.
yeah, I mean, as far as talking about how old everything is, and so most of our docks are too old right now, and so thankfully there's a couple of companies. Suntex is a big one. They're a dock company that has come in here and they bought up several leaseholds, and they plan to invest about $50 million into the harbor. And so they've already built new slips at the front of our harbor.
Did you know them from down there? Did you help with that?
No, you know what it was? They came here very early on, and they made it known that they were interested in buying up docks, and they purchased a company called Almar that I did know and did work with. And so some of the people who are still working with Suntex were also Almar people that I've worked with for years. And what's fantastic about them is they have the vision. They want to improve all our docks, but they have the funding to get it done. Mm-hmm. And so they did Bahia. They're working on Peninsula right now. They're going to do LM 123, which are the docks that are going down our eastern basin. Those are the ones that you heard get cracked and destroyed. They're going to do those ones after Peninsula. They also recently bought Vintage, and so those docks are going to be redone. And they're just they got their eye on the goal too, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. And so,
and that's just you mentioned this. There's like an 8-man crew that does that too, that works in the harbor, that's getting all this work.
You're talking about Bellingham Marine. Yeah, they're a huge company, and they're great at what they do, and they're staying busy out here right now.
It's like that because we take out our boat, right? Our electric craft boats, we wave at them, and that's what's kind of cool about our harbor size is that it's all like with you know what I mean. I don't know. I feel like they're neighbors. Even we wave to them and say hi, and like it's small enough and big enough at the same time to hold all these things in it, but yet enough to have that we know each other. And since we've been here, we've been going up and down, saying hi to people. Mm-hmm. We're going to move our boat from the small boat marina to the Vintage marina. Talking with them, we're going to move it over here so it's behind us. But there's that real neighborly type of a feel of the people that are in the harbor. But the joy, again, you're bringing this revitalization. When I breathe, it's like I think there's besides make everybody happy, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't. And us having the small town Kentucky thought of locals only and what we do, I've been a part of that growing up. To a modern era, I kind of make little Mayberry is growing. Mm-hmm. When you go to the city council, no shots fired. Like even that building down there looks like it was something out of like Springfield, like The Simpsons. It's so like that fragrance, and it's time for us to there's good to have some history, but then there's also a way to modernize Oxnard the way it is, where it's not just fields and gangs and certain things that people in other parts of the county, but the feeling, man, and the buzz, like Marshall was saying, most people are pretty much, I know there's oh my god, and it's like anyway, but you're doing a great job, great people in place, good culture, it's great.
Regarding what you just said, I've had a woman come up to me before and ask me straight out, why do you want more people to come to the harbor? And I understand her point of view, not wanting things to be busy or anything, but the harbor needs people to come here to survive. Mm-hmm. All these restaurants, all these businesses, they're not going to make it if we don't have people coming in. Mm-hmm. A lot of the homes that we have down here are vacation homes, and so you can't just rely on the local residents. We love them; they're a big part of this, but we need to get people to come from outside the harbor to come in and enjoy it. And you were asking about what drives me. That's another part of it, is that I learned early on that I love being at the ocean. The reason I work in a harbor is because I like looking at boats, and so I like being down here. I like seeing it, and it makes me feel good. So I want other people to feel this too. And so, my big goal, like part of the part that you don't see, is I want people to be able to come down and experience this, and I want it to be low cost or no cost. And so that's the things like our concert series. Or
let's get to the event chat. Concert series.
Or our parade of lights, our parade of freights that we've been doing for a couple of years now. These are great events because you can come down here and spend money or not spend money and still just have a fantastic time in the harbor, and that's what we want to do, is make things that people can come and enjoy. We're working on a playground. We'll probably have that done early next year, and that's just going to be another thing. People can come in, check out the playground, bring their kids. Their kids are going to have a great time being in the harbor. They're going to bring their families back here too. That's the kind of environment that we want we want to foster here.
And you're doing it. We'll get to the events now and the projects coming up. And one question somebody asked the other day when I was on the pier: do you know if they're going to have water taxis? So if you're on this side, you could take a taxi to Carl's and back.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking in my head too, like you could rent a bicycle there, or make it around. Will there be water taxis?
Yes.
Is that be something coming back?
Yeah, it's something that we're going to work with Carl's on. I'll tell you, we ran a water taxi in Marina Del Rey, and they don't make enough money to support themselves. And so it's the kind of thing where the harbor department will have to contribute money toward it, and Carl's will have to contribute money toward it. But we think it's a great option because not only does it open up the whole harbor, we've got a lot of the parking in this harbor, and we've got a lot of different things to come see around the harbor. And so if we have a water taxi that can take you from one side to the other, people can go enjoy the restaurants, enjoy the shops over on the western side of the harbor, hop on that water taxi, go over and enjoy Carl's, walk down to Silver Strand. And so the water taxi is a good thing in that aspect, getting people around the harbor. But what I found in the old job too is that people want to get on the water taxi just to have a nice boat ride. You spend a couple of bucks, you can get yourself a little tour around the harbor. It's a lot of fun. And that's what I did when I lived down there. Is people would.
Yeah, I want to be. I just
people
want to be like, can I be one of those guys with the headset on, telling me about this is that over here and that's over there, like a little jungle cruise.
That'll be awesome, and we'll definitely need captains to do it.
Dave, and I got a few. I think that's another intriguing part of something about just relaxing on a boat, vitamin C, and just cruising through the harbor for 40 minutes. Is a chance for them to see it from a different perspective than a bicycle on your feet. So. Somebody asked me that.
Kevin, turn your microphone upside down. It's facing the wrong way.
Got a little
microphone
check.
That is something that I've noticed is that if you're on foot, if you're driving, or if you're on a boat, it's three completely different experiences. The things you see, the things you hear, and so it's important for me especially to make sure I do all three of these things regularly enough that I know what people are experiencing in the harbor.
Next time we have Tripp on, we're going to do it on the boat.
That sounds like
makes
fun.
sense, yeah.
All right.
We've done like 2 or 3 from the boat already.
It's fun. It always comes out great.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds great.
And then we maybe show like, hey, this is this section, and hey, that 3 months, all right?
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do a tour around the harbor. That'd be a cool
Yeah,
one.
sounds
We can
good.
point it out, and we can cut it and edit it, and because we're always thinking, next level in theatrics. Like one of the things that you just said is something I was telling my team about filmmaking, man. And you said, "What do you see? What do you hear?" When I went to my first film. One of my clinics that I went to in Oxnard College, it was up at Reds in Santa Barbara. The lady had us close our eyes and be like, what do you hear? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you see? And when we're making film or those experiences, those are part of your senses that do stick with you.
Yeah.
I smelled the ocean. I heard sea lions. I heard seagulls squawking, right? Like you could hear them and see it. And that's what you really sticks in your in your memory bank.
Right, yeah, it stays with you. And so sometime you'll be walking around and you'll hear a sea lion and you'll remember something you did as a kid in the harbor,
It's pretty neat, right?
All that stuff's important.
It's a great episode right here. Let's see where we are. Okay, keep it moving. All right, so we got project updates. That's kind of the projects that you went over, right? You said something about Whale's Tail.
Oh, yeah, Whale's Tail. So, great news about Whale's Tail. It's been kind of sitting dormant.
Just a sec. Is there a place or online or something where they could find this themselves, the viewers? Is it up on the site?
Yeah, it's up on our website.
Okay, so if you guys want to see each one individually, the project updates, and then we have annual events right here we'll get to. But if it's too, we're going kind of rapidly here, and you want to know more, what is the site?
ChannelIslandsharbor.org.
There it is, Channel Islands.
Yeah.
Can you put that on there?
ChannelIslandsharbor.org.
Awesome. All right, Whale's Tail. All right,
Yeah, so Whale's Tail. Yeah, good news on the Whale's Tail is that we started to get a lot of interest recently. And, I'm not sure what's happening, but I suspect it's because, there's some momentum in the harbor right now. People see things are happening. We actually have, just in the last month, we've had 4 serious developers come and express their interest in developing the Whale's Tail. These are people with the vision to do it, the money to do it, and the will to do it.
Will it be the same type of thing, like a dance, a club and a restaurant?
We're not sure yet. That's the thing. Because we have 4 people, we're not just going to choose somebody at random. What our plan is to do another request for proposals, where we'll let the development groups tell us what they'd like to do there. We'll create another community group to come and look at it, and we'll choose who we want to go forward with. But
That fits into the mold. And
yeah, exactly.
do you think now that it's booming? My mom used to call this area Baltic Avenue, especially in Port Hueneme on Hueneme Road. Baltic Avenue on
from Monopoly.
Yeah, the purple stuff. It's like $60 and like $2 a night to stay. And now that the people are, they're catching wind of what's happening up here, and you get more people putting in bids versus when it might not have been as as pretty as it's getting. So you even have success in luring more folks in to build versus saying, well, if we build there and it's not really doing it, are we going to stay in business? Where now you have people like, hey, we need to we want to get in there. Versus, is that do you see something you noticeable?
Yeah, absolutely. We did an RFP for the Whale's Tail a few years back, and we were working with a gentleman who had experience building restaurants, but he himself didn't have the funding, and so he needed to do fundraising to make it happen. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. The difference now is that these groups that we're talking to now they're well-funded groups. They don't have to go out and take a loan from the bank. They may or may not, but they're able to take on this kind of project regardless. And so it is a different era. And then I'll tell you, back then in 2021, we were coming out of COVID. Those were tough times, and so I'm really happy to see the harbor bouncing back and these businesses starting to thrive again.
That's kind of the show that we just did. I was telling you about the one we went to Santa Barbara, and you just said the word era. I think after COVID, I think we talked about health when you walked in. We're both getting in great shape, right? And I think there's just that era right now. I think people are spending disposable income. I think people want to go out and make it. I just think it might be different as far as a group of four might not be the Griswolds in a station wagon. It could be four girlfriends or four other fellas, or that the way the era of people spending the Chowder Fest sold out, right? So people are getting out more. When you guys do these events that you've seen, there's been people are look at the concert at the sea that you have there. There's nowhere to put your chair any longer. I think I think if you get away from the news and how devastating the world is, people are out even more now, utilizing experiences and fun and outdoor recreation and taking care of their health, so they have the endurance to enjoy the sun and get to the beach. Even living in Hueneme, the beach has been fuller. It just seems like after that, people are even maybe taking it away from them for a while, especially in California. People can wait to get out and then say, hey, you know what? I don't want to just go to work and to a dead-end job. I want to spend time with my family. I want to spend time on my own wellness. And I think that's going to help for the next decade or two, because maybe longer, but you know what I'm saying, right?
I do.
After that chaos, that people are even more excited to get back out and bike ride and do things as a family. It's just a different era.
We're seeing the same thing, and we're excited to see it. Just our last concert, it was packed in there, and so we're having to adapt to make sure that crowd's comfortable. We're so glad to see people coming out here, but we're getting a lot more than we did last year. And I agree with you. People are wanting to get out and enjoy the outdoors, which is fantastic. Get off your phone for a minute and go listen to some music. I think that's a great thing. And what you're talking about with the different groups coming out, we're seeing that too, where people are holding off longer to have kids sometimes, and so you're not just making everything for the family of four. You are making it for just a group of friends wants to go out and go have some fun, do that too. And not to give too much away, but one of the people who were talking to us about having a restaurant was talking about, well, what if we did some kind of theme where the restaurant is built around, say, like a dirt area or an open courtyard area, and people could go in the middle of there and play cornhole or play some kind of game, because this person was telling me they thought, well,
was it like a truck idea, or there's a couple of different ones? Or is that something different that you're talking about?
No, not necessarily trucks. They would all be permanent restaurants, but
it'd be a village.
But different kinds of food, different options, communal seating, because a lot of people want to go hang out with their friends and do that kind of thing. So that was just one idea that we heard that we thought sounded pretty exciting.
Because then they started bringing up, I like the oyster thing that they had in Ventura Harbor, and I know we started asking questions in the middle of your presentation. I remember you're giving us a little bit of some of the nuggets that are coming down, and again in a modern day, right, of what that looks like. And people say, hey, it works good over here and work in there. And I think that's one of the good things about you being a visionary, is you're open for that. You don't have a used to be syndrome at all. I think you're creative. What can we do to be cooler, or even set a trend versus the way it's always been done is super important for any era to continue to evolve, man. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you just keep doing things the way you've always done it, nothing's going to change, you know. And so we got to be open. And when we go out, you know, not to say we're stealing ideas, but when we go out and see something, and we go out to another area and see something cool, we're like, hey, maybe we should be doing that too.
You should, but I don't think it's still. I think in the NFL, right? It's a copycat league. Right, that's the West Coast offense, and that's when in Super Bowls. Why are we running this old 3-4? Right, like no, we need to, we need to be able to drop back and protect, right? So I don't know if it's stealing, and I used to that. I'm gonna copy your demonstration. So if you're doing things successfully, I'm gonna take a couple notes to realize how. So I think emulation and versus duplication or how that looks isn't always a bad thing, right? If it's stealing or borrowing or saying, hey, that's working right now. If it makes sense and it's working, why would you reinvent it?
Right. Take an idea that works, put your own spin on it, see how it goes.
And that's good for people because, again, recognition when they see it, that makes them more comfortable too to want to try it out themselves. As far as human beings. So let's see. I know that I started smiling, and that's why I usually have my coffee to slow down, because at the same time as that event Saturday, there was the ceviche chow down. Was in the next parking lot, right? Because we drove our boat. We drove our boat from there. We did it. We took our guppy families out. We did a graduation on the water. One of our students graduated, Oceans of Opportunity. Let them off at their car. Picked up Vic. Came back here, tied up. Went to the Chowder Fest. Came back down, and then we drove by, and you could see them down at the other concert. So you had like multiple events in the same day. You got the Chowder Festival, Parade of Frights, you got Parade of Lights. There was a paddle where the yacht, and this might not be again so much your guys' idea, but they did this, the yacht club downstairs, they did like a paddle, and they had to go pick up cards at different people's location and make a perfect poker hand, so you could just see
poker paddle, right? Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, that's the ceviche chow down. That was our first year having that. Before this, he did it over at Olivia's Adobe. But he actually talked to the mayor of Oxnard and said, hey, I want to bring this event to Oxnard. Do you have any ideas what we could do it? And so he approached us, and we had it was our first year. I think it's a great idea. I think as we work on it more and figure out how we could make it bigger. I think we could make some improvements to it. But that was a great one to do. We've had a couple of paddles. That was my public information officer Jed's idea, because he knows people love getting out in the harbor and enjoying their kayaks, enjoying their stand-up paddleboards. So he's saying, if we're already doing a Parade of Frights, if we're already doing a Parade of Lights, those parades happen at the end of the day. What can we do earlier on the day so people can go out and have some fun? And so that's when we did our pumpkin paddle for the Parade of Frights. And I'll tell you, I went out there, we probably, spent 3 weeks working on that, right? And, 100 people showed up. And so I was like, wow.
So you see some of those little boats? A couple guys brought out like envelopes and got in them. They're like they folded out, click, clack, clack, and they got in it. And I was like, wow, it was a plethora of different floating. I'm looking at the picture here, but that was really good too. We followed them around in our little boat.
Yeah.
I'm nosy. I like to see what's going on. I like to campaign for you guys and what's going on in the harbor. If I can take pictures, sometimes I send them to Jed if I'm not there. He told me to make sure I get them straight up and down for the gram, right? Tagging them. Right. So I try to be a little sideline reporter for our area, the work you guys are doing, talking about Carl's to people that are misinformed or scared that it's an amusement park, right? So I try to do our job and pay attention and sharing these things. The summer concert, I was in Camarillo for theirs the other night. They do one down there in Camarillo, and I was like, we're doing this at ours. We're doing this at ours, man. It's coming together, man. And the short amount of time. Let's see, there's a well festival. What else you want to mention about any of these events? I'll leave this here, because I know there's a lot. Parade of Frights we talked about in that. And one thing I do want to not condemn. What is the word? Commend. There you go.
Right.
Commend you. Is there all day events, like you said, right? The snow is there. You could slide down it during the day, and then in the night, like it's an all day event and festival. One thing I got a question.
Sure.
The firework thing, right? Is there any way that I think it could help when people say it? Could they put some bigger trash cans down there? Who would be, instead of a couple, is there a way to put a few for just that weekend that could help?
We definitely can. And we're definitely open to suggestions. What area would you need the trash cans in?
Where they all park over there by kind of where we were at, in that little section, where the people, we could rent a parking spot for the day, or is it for the weekend? That's where it always seems like people are like taking pictures and look at, because again, if people come down here and then they leave it on, like, bro, okay, but they go to anger first. Yeah, and that's where it seems like they're always that it's that area.
So that parking lot over there, right? Okay, yeah, we can definitely put in more trash cans.
Just to calm the folks down, because again, we want them to come in, and if they're going to come in, preparation ahead for that weekend versus what it normally looks like if you know that there's going to be an influx on a certain event or something for that. It could help. Again, I know you can't take so many suggestions and what you could do capacity-wise, but I was one that my brain scratcher was like, if they were there, we put their trash in the bins versus a couple of trash cans.
No, we love getting them. We try to put we have a dump truck, and when we have big events, we try to put that where we know there's going to be a lot of trash, because then our guys can empty those trash cans more and just put it right in that and be done with it. But something interesting about the 4th of July, I don't think
tell them about the fireworks, where they end up and how they come back down. And
I don't think you're going to see a lot of seaside fireworks shows in California these days, because the Coastal Commission and the Regional Water Quality Control Board don't really like fireworks shooting up in the sky and then falling down into the ocean, and so the regional board actually came to us and said, hey, if you're going to be shooting these over the ocean, you're going to need to have divers in there monitoring, what's going into the ocean. And I told them ours don't go in the ocean. Fortunately, we have a great partner in the Navy base next door, and they have a big dirt field, and we're able to shoot the fireworks off there. They all come back down on there. We send a crew out to clean them up afterwards, and so there's not the environmental impacts that you would have a lot of places. And so fortunately, we're going to be able to keep on doing this, long after I think other groups are going to get shut down.
See how many partners they got, and they got visionaries and setting the standard and pioneering ideas of what they're doing. So somebody's going to model you next, right? They're going to steal what we said, your idea. Say, hey, that's the model.
Right. Find a good place to shoot them off.
Right?
Yeah, we won't make so much of a mess.
Good.
Yeah, and speaking of stuff coming up, the next one coming up in September is, of course, Chowder Fest. We're really excited about that.
That was a sellout last year, people. I didn't get in. I even tried to use my community Kev muscle, and Doug was like, I'm too busy right now. But I didn't know it was a sellout, because only got to make so much chowder.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't go bad. So again, that's the importance of it being limited access, because the vendors have to know how much chowder to actually make, so there's only leftover, they don't run out. So that's an important one. Again, it's sold out. So make sure you get your tickets in advance, Kevin.
Right. Yeah, so that's a fun one. The museum used to put that on, and they hadn't for a few years, but they brought it back last year, and they're bringing it back again. And so we're really excited about that. Coming up after that in October, we're going to have our Parade of Frights again. That's our Halloween themed boat parade, and also there's awesome landside activities for that. We have a costume contest, the farmers market.
It was a parade. They all walked down around in a parade, and then you had Carl Soto doing the little plays with the puppets and stuff. Yeah, we hung out there for a minute.
And one thing we're trying to do better, and I'm open to suggestions on how to do this, is we don't have as much participation from, say, the yacht clubs, the boaters, as we would like in this. And we're trying to think, how do we get more of them to come? And one thing we've thought about, one thing we've thought about was possibly, bringing out some kind of trophy, have a pirate-looking ship or something like that. Yeah, ghost ship. And make that our annual trophy to give out.
Because they do get competitive. I know when we do the Christmas parade, because I'm a member at the Channel Island Yacht Club, right? So we have a member, whatever we won last year, 47, and they're all out there on the patio, honking, and there is a competitiveness in the yacht club. So I bet you if you were to, and some of them I know they need members, right? So give a tour of the yacht clubs the same day of the event. Going back to that shot on, you might see Community Care helping out in the future, helping Brian Barber with that. We'll leave that right there. It could be in the works as well. But yeah, whatever, ideas. But I like executing and visionary, right? So if any ideas I could help with, but I know that they do, without infringing too much on what they're doing, but when it comes to ideas and planning this stuff and thinking about new innovative ways, I know the yacht clubs do need members.
Right.
They are competitive, right? They're a staple in the harbor, right?
Yeah.
So I think they would just they would welcome that idea to bring something out. Maybe they do a tour or something on the water. I think would be neat, right? If there was more ways to get people onto the water,
dock or something, right? Yeah. Bring them down there, check it out. Yeah.
Or pick them up at the public dock, because they know they do the military, right? Where they just take them out there. But hey, if you're a part of them, you pull your boat up and pick up 4 people. Just drive to under the big bridge, drive to the break wall, come back. Drive to the big bridge, drive to the break wall, turn around, right?
Right.
If it's at your dock, go visit that Corinthians. Go to the Channel Islands and pick a boat, and for one 30-minute rotation, 5 or 6 of your members use their boat to take visitors out. How's that for an idea?
Sounds great to me. Yeah. So, mark our calendars. We got to go out and talk to the yacht clubs for sure. Yeah, get this thing moving.
Yeah. I know I was there yesterday, China at Corinthians, when I was putting up some posters for open house. Mm-hmm. So again, open house, we're going to throw ours in there real quick. That's a good thing coming to this era. New event is the Road Guppy Dockside Learning Center. Open house is September 10th from 5 to 6:30. You know what we do at that time? So people that need to get off of work early, hey, I need to leave early. I got to go to that Guppy thing. All right, you can leave at 4 o'clock and they get here. They can leave the office a little early, or they could come after work and then they give themselves a self-guided tour. So the way that we do it, to where they could come and cross over at our event. For people that are still on the clock and consider it a work networking function.
Yeah.
And the ones that can't can still get a piece of it, and it doesn't take up too much time. So I think, again, part of what you said, visionary, planning, being creative, keeping people's agendas and the people's schedules in mind is a whole of how you're going to be, how you're being successful here, man. You're not leaving anything out. You know, you're not just set for this certain, right? Like just boaters or something. You're looking at a community and welcoming it.
Right.
And I think, because I think what people will say, hey, you know what, honey? I think we should buy a boat. You know, people come down here and see it, and Dad's like, hey, I think we need to start buying RVs and boats. Because I'm in that fishing industry. I'm in the RBFF, Fishing and Recreation Boating and Fishing Foundation, and getting people on the water. So I'm in those meetings hearing what they're saying about gravitating more people coming in to purchase boats and fishing gear and the travel. And I think it's at a time where people are back to buying boats again and RVs and traveling for if you do have a family or it's your pleasure craft. So I think, again, in this era right now, of people seeing that as a time for people to go back or go and say, you know, I think I'm going to buy a Parker boat. They want to be in a yacht club because, again, they're aging out as well. Yeah. You know, we have some people, unfortunately, at the yacht club where I'm at, we're celebrating 70s and 80s-year-old birthday, and some people are passing away. We're getting emails. So I know that there's a shift of, if that's 80% of your membership, you need to start finding younger members as well. And I think this is the time right now for people to transition into boat owners and stuff again.
Yeah.
You know? Jet ski owners and stuff like that.
Yeah, come and be a part of that, getting the leadership. It's definitely something we need to do because, you're right, boating as an industry is something that is going to need more people. You know, we did get a lot more during COVID, but we do it's got to keep that momentum going. You know, people getting to go out and see just, what a joy it is to get out there on the water, We're here in such a fortunate place. We're near those Channel Islands, which it's a short boat ride out there, and it's just an amazing thing to see, especially the sea life that you'll see out there. I've been out there a few times, and I'll tell you, it was like I was going out there specifically to go to the islands, but it was like a whale watching trip on the way out there, just because there's so much to see. And so it's just, boating is a fantastic hobby. I agree, we got to get more people interested in it. Get out, whatever kind of boat you can, and get on the water, get out and enjoy things. Something we're doing this year, second time, to more focus on boaters, because I hear what you're saying. You got to focus on the people who are boaters and the people who aren't boaters. You got to make sure everybody's welcome, everybody has things to do.
They've all to become boaters. Make it seem like it's realistic for them to become a boater themselves.
Absolutely, yeah. And you could start with something simple like a kayak. So we're going to have another concert on the sea this year, and there we go. Our concert on the sea. That's where the ship Estella is going to have a live band on it again, and people will be able to bring their kayaks, their canopy pedal boards, their yachts, their boats. Teresa Russell, yeah. Teresa Russell. Yeah, it's going to be September 12th this year from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
You're going to have to get like 2-3 boats soon, man. It's going to just keep growing. You're going to have a barge that people can dance on, a little dancing barge, and dance next to it,
Yeah, you know what would be cool sometime? We could bring like the Scarlet Bell, that paddle boat out here. Can you imagine? Have a band on that, having that full of people,
because again, it's all networking, right? My networking hat's just going crazy right now with my ideas, right? Because if they're trying to sell Friday nights and places that's why it's networking.
Right.
If we start networking together as a community, again, it says Channel Islands Harbor, people. Channel Islands are one of the most visited places. My book are on the other side. Explore the Channel Islands, our book. We live in the Galapagos of North America, right?
Yeah.
So besides this cool harbor, where we live in relatively to the kelp forest and the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary and National Park, we just did a trip with them. Cover my logo. That we did with the National Park Service, right? And incorporating all of them as we network to utilize that. And collaboration is the biggest word right now, especially in nonprofit and business. So we got the Scarlet Bell, you got the fishing, and they actually own the Velosky's own hooks anyway, so it makes sense to incorporate them. And then you have boats, again, that just go to the islands. I know Island Packers has boats that shove you there, and the Sunfish. So there are these other places where these businesses that are here, now that tourists are coming, could start monopolizing, is that the word? Monetizing, not monopolizing, that's my second mess up, today on utilizing all of these resources, right? You can go to the island for 2 hours. A guy named Frank Ursetti that I steal a lot of my ideas from, because I stole them from him. He used to do the floating laboratory. Yeah. So our little stuff we do, I did his video. His well-watching trip on the Ranger 85, 2 times a week. We called a thing called a Seafari, where you just take out to see a sea lion. So that's what we do on our little boat. I know where the sea lions are over here. I know they're at the Kitty Beach. Let's go look at the pirate ship, right? Let's go look at this ship, and we do a little Seafari inside the harbor. So I know that there's ways that whether it's in the harbor or leaving the harbor, that you can incorporate these businesses to the yacht club. And then Parker Boats, what's the other guy's name that you could...
Hopper?
No, the one that you could buy, you rent it's a boat membership. What's his name? I get him all the time. His name's Carlos or something. But you know what I'm talking about. The Pride or something. But anyway, you get all those people. We get all that all fired up. And you're the one that's really getting it fired up. And I know you don't handle so much. I know as a board, people throw ideas on the table and don't want to own any of them. Not trying to do that. But I can see your vision, man. And that's what vision. We have plenty of videos of all the stuff that we're talking about. And that's why we showcase. We're not just kid fishing. We have this... We're bringing people to China Island sport fishing. The sport fishing industry makes billions of bucks on those down months. Maybe those are the boats that take people out, and it makes them a way for them to get their crew off the dock to see people, like Frank used to do, right? So there's ways to shuffle the deck, get a retread on some of these businesses, buying into the vision for everybody to flourish.
And I appreciate your enthusiasm and energy in all this. That's exactly what we need, to make this place thrive. Is people who believe in it and who have a vision to make this kind of thing happen.
I just see like a Bard, a Bud Smith, Kevin Brannon. I said it, folks. You heard it today. But I've been a visionary for this area, advocate for tourism, travel, getting people to fish, recreational. I know we have statistics to show it. I'm not saying it, but just for people to know that are listening, or for you to think about the ideas that Kevin Brannon, besides the Guppy guy, the Rolling Air Network, for visionary, for travel, exploration, fun, lifestyle, man. That's what we got to people enjoy your life, man. You got to do it. More better place than China Islands, California.
That's why I work here. I like being by the coast. I like being in this environment. It's just a fantastic place to be. The people that you meet down here are great. Something I'll tell you. Every time I walk around this harbor, I talk to people. They stop me and they tell me what if there's an issue a lot of times, or something that they'd like to see out here. And so it is a great community to be a part of. Like what you were saying earlier, where this is a small community where it seems like everybody knows each other.
Well, it's cool because you have residential inside, so you have like these layers that are on top of it that make it versus just an off wharf by itself that's in a wharf. There's a residential complex that are surrounding it too. It's built into a residential area, right? So there's just these layers that go back through it, which is cool, man. I mean, I think they picked the right guy in you for sure. I mean, I shouldn't even say I think, I know you being it, and previous leadership and hierarchy, you probably couldn't find them walking around the harbor. They wouldn't even take a call. Like, oh, they're in a meeting, because I tried. They're in a meeting, right? And I was trying to share these ideas that I had, this enthusiasm you're talking about, and it was just, it was stonewalled. And you being able to see Ernie and this guy, walking around, Jed, which people at home, you actually see people out, right? And you're not out there during campaign season. I know you don't think you're elected official, but the point of it is you're very accessible and you're out looking. And when that's, I think, it gives people belief, is when you see the people that are doing it out and about, and not just their name or hear about them, but you actually see them, like taking the time to do this, and we'll share it, and people can meet the person and the people that are behind it, not just seeing with coming to life. So fantastic job, man.
No, I appreciate that, and the reason I do it this way is because I got an idea for what this place can do, but I can't make that happen on my own. The best way for me to make that happen is work with people like you, and to get things moving, get a lot of plates spinning at once. That's the way we're going to make this a thriving harbor that people are going to come down to and enjoy.
And not having them. This is what somebody told me when I started my board, because I was trying to spin all those plates by myself, man. That's the same thing he told me. He's like, bro, you're spinning too many plates. You try to grab that one, this one's going to fall. But I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I had some people that didn't come through for me. So if I do it all, I know it's going to get done, but it takes longer, and there's some expertise that needs to be involved as well. So I was a plate spinner by myself, so I know exactly. And somebody had to tell me that, verbatim, like, you're spinning too many. So
so I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from 100%, because you're saying, like, well, I know what I'm doing. I can do that faster than this person who's just starting, right? So,
or the people that don't show up, they say we'll do it and they don't show. That was one
Right.
that really got me. Didn't follow through.
But so you think that, so you never delegate anything. But I'll tell you the great thing about delegating things is if you do delegate the work to other people and you train them and you give them what they need to grow, you can create a team and you'll see them doing amazing things by themselves. You'll see them coming up with great ideas. And I mean, there's like nothing more rewarding than to see like a really great team that really doesn't even need you, that's just thriving without you.
Would Belichick say, even though he's a Patriot and I like him, just do your job. Just concentrate on your job and have discipline. Don't over pursue, don't chase the ball. You just stay right here.
Yeah.
Do your job. That's all he would preach to his people. You do your job.
Mm-hmm.
The linebacker don't need to be running out for receiver, right? You don't need to be the safety. You don't need to be doing this. Like, just run your position and get your practice and practice hard and train hard. And then we're going to hold up these Lombardis, right? So very simple philosophy. That's I do steal some people's ideas. Is saying just do your job.
Right.
You're doing an incredible job, man. So
thank you.
Put that out there. Anything you want to tell? And this is I was going to go on the Red Diamond, but I won't. So me and Scotty used to work in pest control.
Okay.
We always talk about like the culture and the atmosphere of what you're doing versus sometimes corporate atmospheres don't let you do that, right? You don't really let the people lead and do what they're supposed to. And your culture and everything you're doing is exactly right. So I won't take any shots. But we talk about that a lot on our program about the freedom of growth and visionaries and what that looks like before bureaucracy or bottom line or stakeholders really are the ones making the decisions, where some people that are passionate about the work that they're doing and the vision and including people in delegating, but not microing them at the same time. And again, look, people, it's growing and we're going to be there, and you're spearheading it, man. So I'm gonna have to invite you to lunch one day,
for sure,
and just have you kind of. One of the things I do like to do is I'll leave a little bit of encouragement, is that people are maybe copying them, right? Like, give me some leadership guidance, because I don't have a lot of other leaders. Me being the guy overseeing it, that I need to stop and talk to other leaders that are winning and ask them some philosophy ideas, man. So away from all the business, but just like I'm still learning life too, man.
Absolutely. And we've been very fortunate in this harbor that we've been able to do the things that we want to do. And I'll tell you, a big part of that is being transparent. I'm not going out to the public and trying to deceive them, trying to pull the wool over their eyes and get something through that I want that they necessarily don't. I'm going out there and listening to them, and it's making better projects. Because
I've been watching. I've been to those Carl's things and watching you talk in your presentations, and you're there with them inside, and this is a we thing. This is a we thing. We're doing this in the harbor, and that's always out of your, and I've seen it, so nothing to say, but as many of the clinics that I've been to and seeing you in action and a couple of times, I'm Kevin Brannon, and I approve that message.
All right.
But before we finish, my friend, just give them something like a little inspiration or something that you could leave with our audience. We like all of our guests to finish with something heartfelt that could be some sound advice or something that you could leave with them.
I think that when you're pursuing a job like this, like the one I'm doing, if you just do what you feel is correct, but also listen to outside people. The people who live and work in this harbor, they have insights that I don't have. And so me listening to them and incorporating their ideas, it's really the best way to get the end result that we all want. And so that's what I have to say, is that I love doing this job. I love working with the community. They can be difficult sometimes too, but aside from the people who are upset about everything and will never be happy, no matter what you do, when you go out there and you talk to the public, you're going to meet enough people who are excited about what's going on here. And, like I'm saying with you, having good energy, they're excited to have the energy. They want to see things moving forward. And so, that's what drives me to, keep going, doing all the complicated things behind the scenes that take so long. All these waterside projects are very complicated. They take a long time, but when you see the end results and you see how excited people are getting, that's pushes you through to the finish line, basically.
Do you forward, like you already see it, and there's a guy that brought out this, one of the ones I use, his name is Jim Ron. It's like you have this long telescope and you're like, I see California from New York, and then you get maybe mid-country and you're like, I see it there, and then you get country and then you're like, it's just right there, and then you're like standing on it, so you like forward, you see it already, and you're just working your way.
Well, yeah. Like I was saying earlier, like I see every parcel out here, and I imagine what can be there, but I don't just, stick stubbornly to my original idea and don't ever allow anything to change. If people come forward and say like, hey, I like your idea of doing this playground, but I think it'd be cooler if you do that. I think about it and I process it, and I'm willing to change that vision. So yeah, seen from a far distance, but willing to change if something better comes up.
Cool. That's right. He's open.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. I think that'll do it. It's a good hour almost, and plus I gave you a tour for about 20 minutes. So you've been here
All right.
quite a bit. I don't know if you have more stuff doing your busy day, but thank you for stopping by. I think in about 3 months we'll run it back.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe going into like October season, something like that. I don't know how many months. Yeah, that's about 3, but we'll do it from the boat, man. Maybe we could talk about
I think that'd be
coming
great.
up, and we'll point some things out and see some of the actual construction improvements. Construction projects and the ones that have been improved. By then, Carl should be something to be over there in that area and point out where you're going to put your guys' new facility.
Right.
And sound like a good idea to you, my friend?
Sounds great.
See, I say it, friend. That's what it is, and that's what. We had this talk off air because sometimes when I don't introduce everybody when the politicians show up and what they do, elected officials, and he gave me some advice, because sometimes I see us as friends, but there's still a professional way of going about, a classy side of traditionalism, again, versus my stubborn side, like, oh, we're all just people, right? Because I do see some of them as friends, even though they have work to do, and you still have that respect that we are right here, and keep it real with the Real Angler Network, Community Kev. Barry, say goodbye. Let's go.
Today's guest, Michael Tripp, County of Ventura Harbor Department, Channel Islands Harbor. To learn more about Real Guppy Outdoors, please visit www.communitykevin.com. Brought to you by AFTCO, Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.